Well, welcome everybody. I'm super excited today to have Karla with us, who, man, you've worn so many hats in the 23 years of your career, including being an owner and a leader of Gila Rut Salons, which has a team of 65 plus employees in 2 locations.
Correct.
I can't even wait to dive into how you manage 65 people and what that looks like, because I know a lot of us that have a small team of 6 struggle with that. But also you're the co-founder of Beauty Background, which is an online resource for employee-based salons, and we're going to talk about that too. So I'm just super excited that you're here, so welcome.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here. I'm honored that you asked me to be here. I admire both you and Tina and all the work you guys are doing. So I'm very happy that I can speak to your audience and just see what I can bring. And hopefully there'll be some great value they can take away from this conversation.
Yeah, say before we pushed record, we just were kind of chatting, and something that we were talking about is that not always a great stylist, super successful behind the chair, makes the best salon owner, but as well as a great stylist doesn't always make a great educator. So I'd love for you to kind of break down those two.
Sure, absolutely. Well, let's start a little bit with the educator part, because I think that one's going to resonate a lot with your audience. And what I noticed over the years that we've owned our business, our company is now almost 31 years old. I've been a salon owner for about 17 of those years, but previous to the 17, I was part of the team as one, stylist. I was a color expert behind the chair. So I had a full clientele of clients. And I remember that one of the things that I was very excited about in the beginning of my career is, what if I could become an educator, right? What if I could also do what some of my educators and mentors did for me to give me a great foundation so that I could have a very fruitful career? And so I had that calling to want to give back. And so I started as an educator probably about, I'm going to say about 5 years into my career. I was like, okay, I think I'm ready. I know enough. I'm successful behind the chair and I have a good clientele, and I think I can teach other people. I want to, and I have enough knowledge to do so. So I actually jumped into the education department in my company, and quickly I learned that not everything I knew as a stylist, all the tools I had as a stylist, were the exact same tools that I was going to need as an educator. That it's a different muscle that I didn't yet, at that point, had developed. And it was an interesting time. Since then, fast forward, I have noticed that over and over, that a lot of times in our industry, we want to give back, and probably the very first way to give back to our future generations is through education. So we say, I want to be an educator. But there are very specific tools you need to have to be a really great educator. It's not just about knowing how to do hair, but it's also the communication you have with your students, how you speak into their different learning types, because there are different learning types. We all learn differently. And as an educator, you have to develop those tools before you can really be an engaging educator that can have momentum with your students. And going back to your question, this is also the case as a salon owner. I think you would agree that yes, sometimes, again, in our quest to continue to grow our career, we say, well, what's the next thing? I'm already a successful stylist. I love what I do. I'm making really good money. I want more growth. And I want the freedom. I think a lot of times we think salon owner means freedom. it's a false reality. There are things about it that are freedom, like freedom, but I wouldn't say that it's the real answer. It's not the end. But anyway, you need different tools as a salon owner. And I will tell you again from my own experience. So I was a stylist, I was successful. I became an educator and started to be successful. And then I said, what's the next thing? Oh, I want to be a salon owner. And I didn't know what I was asking for at that point. It's been a great ride, but has been so much learning in the process. And I think that if I could give one piece of advice is no, do it one layer at a time. Get really good at what you do and then say, what's the next thing I should learn before I take the step to do it completely. And I think that if you give yourself that gift of doing it one layer at a time, you're going to have a much smoother ride as you become a salon owner or educator or any type of leadership. Really, it's just how can I sharpen the tools I have and also gain new tools so then I can apply them in the next part of the career I'm trying to grow.
I love that. So speaking of salon owners, you have a team of 65 plus employees.
I do.
I have to ask how you manage 65 people and how you keep them motivated and engaged and, you know, having that drive to come back to work every single day. Because we know the workforce has changed. The environment, the environment has shifted, and we have to adapt as well. So how have you managed to successfully lead 65 plus employees?
Yeah, you know, I feel really blessed to have every single one of our employees. And I think that every single one of them bring a lot of value and uniqueness to our team. I will tell you, I do not do it alone. I have a leadership team. I really do. I have myself, of course. I have my business partner, Carrie Davis, who is the co-owner as well. And we have 2 managers in each of the locations. So in the 65 employees, we have 2 locations. And we have weekly touch bases with our leadership team. And then from the main leadership team, which is the managers I was just referring to, we also have an education team, which I have the pleasure of leading. And that education team is teaching every single week, both to our newest members as well as to some of our senior team. And then in location, we have mentors. So it's a whole tier of support, many people that are involved. And so I definitely don't do it alone. But I would say that one of the things that makes it easier is that we're very systematic. It is very, we have a business, again, because we've been around a few decades. We have a lot of systems to say, how are we being successful in this area? And there's a system formula that's being followed for that specific part of the business, right? So if we're doing it in education, the system is every single week, education's happening, there's reports, there's communication within the leadership team. If we're doing it at, let's say, guest relations, or what we call guest relations, which is our front desk team, we talk about, okay, what's the purpose of the day? What are the goals? If we're doing it with the stylist team, same conversation. We have a morning huddle. I know a lot of your listeners do that. It is very successful to have those touch points through the different departments. And again, sometimes it could come across like we're very, a little bit rigid. I don't think that we are. I think that in order to have success, you have to have a formula that's repeatable. And then once you can repeat it, you can adjust it. And I think one of the things that you said that I feel very, very, it's important to remember, we have to adjust and evolve always in all areas. And I will tell you, I love to evolve. Like, what's the next thing we could do? How can we do it better? How can we do it new? How can we do it from a different angle? Because even though sometimes we can be resistant to change, it's also where we grow the most. And so evolution is probably one of my personal core values, and I definitely bring it to the team and to the salon. And I know this sounds very dramatic, but I definitely feel that if you're not growing, you're dying. You either are growing or you're dying. Those are like the 2 options, right? And I think that growth doesn't always have to be this grandest thing. It could be 10% better, 5% better, 15% better, right? And if we thought about right now, we're at the beginning of the year, but if we grew 5% better every month, what would it be at the end of the year, right? And so I think that sometimes we can get caught in the change, and evolution seems such a big thing, but it doesn't have to be a big thing. It could be just continuing to polish what you have. You already have a diamond. Your salon's your diamond. How do you polish it? How do you, continue to, like, again, look at it from different angles? so that you also can feel inspired and that your team continues to see the opportunity for growth in your company, but for themselves.
I love that. So you talked a lot about communication,
Yes.
obviously. So give us a rundown of what your morning huddle looks like and what your weekly touch bases look like.
Sure, fantastic. So let's start with the weekly touch bases. So every single week, our managers team gets together. We actually do that Tuesday mornings. It's the same day at the same time, so everybody can plan ahead. And we used to do it in person. This is all pre-COVID. Everything was in person, right? We didn't even consider anything different. That's just how we did life. And now with the wonders of technology, we can do Zoom. And we go back and forth. Sometimes we meet in person, sometimes we meet through Zoom. Zoom has become a great tool for us because we don't have to leave our location where we are working. So it's more productive, I would say, right? And so in our manager meetings, we usually open with what is your win for the day? So we go around our Zoom class and we say, okay, tell us what your win for the day was. And it could be anything, I'm sorry, for the week. So it could be anything from personal win, or it could be something that the business we had a win in. And I think that that is a really great way to start a conversation. Our meetings usually go about an hour. Sometimes we go a little bit more, but we try to keep them short. We also understand and have seen that the longer the conversation, the attention span starts to wear down. So we try to keep them about an hour. We have an agenda every time. So previous to our meeting, we will send out a text in our group and say, here are the items we want to talk about in our agenda. And usually things that are on the agenda are going to be marketing. So what's coming up for marketing? As an example, we know that Earth Month is coming, and we know that we have a product promotion that's coming up this weekend. So we talk about, okay, what's the ordering going to look like? What are the quantities? Is there a budget for it? You know, what is it? What's the marketing materials we're going to use? So that would be all marketing. Then we also talk about every 6 weeks, we have a company-wide celebration, which is our gathering. We call that our salon celebrations. It's our team meetings. And we talk about any agenda that needs to go there. And we kind of start designing the agenda 1 week at a time and taking charge of what area we're each going to be contributing to. So that's our weekly managers meeting. Then we do our everyday huddle. Again, I know a lot of you guys listening are doing this, and I definitely think it's necessary. So at the beginning of the day, we will list items that we want to focus, and we also talk about celebrations. So as an example, this morning, right before I was with you guys, I was doing our morning huddle, and we talked about what is our total goal for the month. Sales, right? So that's going to be sales and retail. What's our total goal? Where are we currently in the first, week of the year? And then we talk about any specific benchmarks. So we did fantastic with our pre-booked. Today I celebrated that we were at 68%. We've been trending in the low 60s. And I said, oh my God, we did 68. Another thing that we had a little struggle in the last few weeks was our retail sales. We were averaging at about $18-19 per client. And today I celebrated that we actually are averaging 29, which is amazing. So I wanted the team to know that, right? Because they get to hear what we are maybe not hitting the mark in, but I want them to hear the things that we are really great at as well. And so we celebrated that this morning. What else did we talk about? We are going to be starting our quarter meetings. We do one-on-one meetings with our team quarterly. Today's the day. So I said, okay, here are the things I want you to bring to the meeting, and you're gonna see it on your schedule. So yes, lots of communication. That's how those work.
So the quarterly one-on-ones, what do you expect them to bring to you?
Yeah, so we have every single stylist tracks their benchmarks. And everyone's at a different point depending on where they are in their career and also how long they've been in the business, right? And so we track the same benchmarks for everybody. And my goal when I'm meeting with them in our quarter meetings is that we talk about what they've improved on from the last quarter, and then say, where is there room for opportunity, and see if there's any coaching, and it's really mind shifting, that I can do with them so that they can be more successful in this next quarter. And so in what they bring is we have a calendar, and it's just a Word doc. It's nothing fancy. I literally created it, and I'm not that great with technology, so it's really nothing fancy, but it has 5 benchmarks on it. So we have a benchmark for our service per client ticket. So how much are each guest spending in the chair? We have another benchmark, which is a retail per client ticket, which is how much are they spending in their home care when they're with you in the chair. We also have we call it our BOBS, which is beauty on a budget menu that we created many years ago, but it's basically any add-on services, so any upsells. So they track that as well. And they also track their booking ratio, meaning when their clients are making their next reservation, we call that their pre-book. And that is, we track it in 2 ways. One is what we call our existing clients. So the return guests that have been coming multiple times, they have a relationship with. That is our pre-book return guest. And then we have our new guest pre-book. So anybody that's brand new that's coming to see them, we know that there's been a big peak in new guests coming to see our salons. So we want to track those and continue to rebook them. And so we also track that. And the last thing that we track is the number of clients that they are seeing in a day. Because at the end of the day, the name of the game is how many clients and how much are they spending.
Mm-hmm.
The number one focus, regardless of where you are in your career, how many clients am I seeing? How much are they spending in my chair?
I love that. So you're very transparent with your numbers, and talk about the value that brings, because a lot of times people don't want to be as transparent.
I'm of the belief that it takes every single person in my company to understand and be focused on the goal for us to all succeed 100%. And I tell my team this all the time. I know that we talk about company, right? So Gila Rut and company, same thing. And what I tell them is the company is you. The company is every individual that's sitting here. Everyone that's here is contributing to the overall goal. And so I want them to know what that looks like. I want them to know there's opportunity for them to grow. It is available. You just have to come get it. And if you want to come get it and you want coaching and you want someone to be cheering you on and helping you measure, I'm here for it. I have had the pleasure and the opportunity and the blessing to have many mentors in my career along the way. And like I felt when I was starting in the industry and wanting to give back, I'm in the same way now. My focus is a little different. I'm not teaching every week anymore at the level of technical ability, but I'm constantly looking for opportunity for my team. And opportunity looks different for everybody, but yes, of course, it's monetary. We also have opportunities for doing more creative opportunities like Fashion Week. And so that is, we are the leads for our city in San Diego. And that happens multiple times a year. So that's another way people look for, like, what could I be doing and growing in, right? Technical ability and creativity. And also, again, if somebody is interested like me in giving back, could you be a mentor? Could you be an educator? Could you be one of the manager team? So for me, it's always looking for opportunity for them. And again, monetarily, we have to be open. So everybody's pushing for the same goal. And, at the end of the day, we may or may not think this way, but at the end of the day, with meeting our goals creates a sustainable company. Sustainable companies keep their doors open. Keeping the doors open gives all of us a paycheck. And with that paycheck, we pay for our lifestyle. So it's all connected. So for me, again, it's not just about what is the company doing. The company is everybody here. And what does everybody need to be doing to be contributing to the overall picture and the goals that we have as a company?
Perfectly put. So let's switch gears and talk about beauty backbone.
Yeah.
Where did that come into play? Where did that start?
I was just talking to one of my employees yesterday at lunch, and I was saying to her that I have I'm always on the move, even if I don't want to, right? So sometimes people tell me, you're so busy. And I'm like, yeah, I am, but I want to be busy. Like, this is self-selected busy. And I love everything that I do, right? So there's no complaints. I love being busy. And yes, we have beauty backbone. So we have our salon team and our businesses in the salon. And then we have our beauty backbone company. And beauty backbone was born. I definitely see it as it was a calling 100% in the sense that we were called to open Beauty Backbone because Carrie Davis, my business partner, she has been an Aveda professional for many years. So she traveled across the country teaching, and her main subject, if you will, was business development and, financials, and like helping salon owners understand how to run their business successfully and understand where their profit was coming from, understand what behaviors drove to profit, and how to lead their teams. With all her travels, we would then get a whole bunch of emails from the attendants with asking all of the things we were doing. How are you doing the booking? And how are you doing the training? And how are you doing, all the things that we were doing. And I kept telling her, it sounds like people need help because we're getting all these questions. And great, I'm happy to help. I said, but we need to have a system around how we can help them and develop a place where they can go to get the help that they need. And so that's how Beauty Backbone was born, is out of being called over and over and over to share the things that we were doing that were making us successful in our business, and systematically show, like, this is what you do, how you do it, and this is the results you should be seeing. And so Beauty Backbone was born in 2016. Initially, it was our very first program, if you will, is called Train You. And Train You teaches these stylists how to become an educator. So earlier on, we touched on, you don't always have the tools. Just because you're really good at doing something doesn't mean you're going to be just as good in doing the other thing. And I see that over and over. Again, in our Train You program, we teach the stylists to develop the tools to know how to teach, what to teach, and in what order, and how to engage their students and their learning types. And so that was our very first program. And then we launched into another program that's called 7 Steps for Salon Profit. And it's kind of a take on what Carrie was teaching when she was going out different parts of the country. And it walks you through, how do I understand what I'm looking at when I'm looking at all my reports, right? Salon reports. How do I talk to my staff and develop my staff so that they know how to behave to get the results that they want? And even to the point of, how do I even have a meeting with my team so that it's effective and we are, again, all working towards the same goal? So, and both of those are virtual, so they're self-paced, and you can, implement them as you go. We do lives every single week, usually on Facebook and Instagram, where we really just take a week, 1 month at a time. We take a topic. Right now, we're in education topics. So every week we're talking about different areas of education and how they really impact your salon business and how to help your team, and just different ideas. And 100% of the things that we talk about are 100% of the things we're doing in our own business. And so we talk from the experience that we're gathering along the way.
I love that. So as we kind of wrap up, what is, your advice for salon owners and salon leaders?
Yeah. Earlier you were talking about, again, evolution, and we are in a place where things are changing really quickly. And sometimes it can feel like it's too much, like, oh my God, more changes. I feel like I'm always behind, right? And what I would say is that you got to pick a lane, pick the lane you're going to focus on, focus on that over and over and over. And then once you feel like that is consistent and good, pick the other, because a business is a juggling act. I mean, you have many balls all day, every day, right? And you're pulled in 100 directions, but you do have to say, what's my focus and how long am I going to focus on that so that I can see the result? One of the things that I think we as humans, period, have a hard time doing is concentrating long enough to see the full result and the consistency of over and over and over and over until I feel like, oh my God, I've mastered it. And sometimes that takes longer than we want to. And I think going back to what I opened with, which is we're just moving so fast that we're so distracted and we are not paying attention to what are the number one thing I need to focus on today, right now, and how can I impact that? We are living in the era of everything's instant. I can order a car on my phone. I can order food on my phone. I can order Amazon on my phone. I can order groceries. I mean, everything is instant, right? Within hours or up to 24 hours, you have everything at your doorstep. And I think that that's the piece that we are fighting the most with our teams, is that they think that their career is going to be instant as well. And I understand the need of it being instant. That's how we're living. But I think we know that there is a specific amount of time that it requires for someone to be really good at what they do, right? If they're cutting, how many haircuts do they have to do to get really good? Or coloring, how many color applications so I can get really confident and proficient at what I'm doing. And I get that. I'm not saying that there's not necessary, but we as salon owners and leaders, we have to say, how can I expedite the process so that they don't have to wait so long to get to the end result? Because again, instant on my phone today, right now. So how can we take a little bit of that and say, well, how do I apply it to my business? Because that is what the generation is wanting. And honestly, I personally don't even think it's generation. I think it's all of us. This morning, I was ordering a gift for my son's birthday party, his friend's birthday party. This morning, we're getting it tomorrow. The birthday party is the next day. So it's instant. We're all living that way. And so we have to think that way too. How do I create faster opportunities so that my team is engaged and they're not being distracted with something else or the next newest, shiniest thing? So it's a big task, but I also know we can do it.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. How can people find you and find Beauty Backbone to watch the lives?
Yeah, so we're on Facebook and Instagram at Beauty Backbone. We have our website. You're more than welcome to go check it out, see what kind of things, are on there that may be something that may help you. And on the website, there's also what's called an interest form. So if you want to be part of our weekly mail out list, that's also an option. You can just enter your info. And of course, it's all about social. And I know Sean has my info. So if anyone's very specifically, has the urge to talk to me, I'm more than happy to for you to pass on my information.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much and have an awesome rest of your day.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure being with you guys. And I hope that I can be invited back. Sean, it's on you.
Of course. We will make sure.
Pressure.
We will make sure, and we'll have Tina with us next time.
That sounds great. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.